Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Doug Kennedy. Doug Kennedy is the president of the Kennedy Training Network. He's a leading expert in hospitality, reservation sales, and hotel group sales, conducting training for many of the top-tier companies across the market. His hotel clients have ranged from five-star hotels, such as the Venetian Las Vegas, at over 7,000 rooms, to smaller luxury inns, such as the Castle Hill Inn in Newport, Rhode Island. In San Diego locally, he works with Bartell Hotels as well, and he's also worked with other large brands such as Starwood, Wyndham, Marriott, Hilton, Intercontinental, and leading hotels of the world. His monthly hotel sales and guest service training inspires readers across the world. I know I always look forward to it, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Doug in person. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremiah. Thank you for reaching out for our interview today.
So, Doug, you've been involved with hotel sales for many years, originally working in sales and then conducting training for major hotel companies and brands. How has the sales process changed from your point of view, both from the buyers and from the suppliers side of the equation?
Well, that's a great question to kick things off, Jeremiah. Really, we have a completely different world in today's world of hotel sales in the sales department, even catering sales. I know when I worked in the industry, as a sales manager in the 1980s when I was coming up through the industry, we would be so excited to have call-in leads. You come back from lunch and stop by your admin's desk, and there would be those pink message pads. And the bigger the stack, the happier we were, because that meant we didn't have to do outbound telemarketing. And now today, we have really the opposite, where a lot of hotel sales managers report what I like to call hotel sales lead fatigue or lead creep. The military people talk about mission creep, and today we have lead creep. And there's a few reasons for that, but, ironically, when the email box is fuller than normal in the morning, when salespeople come in, instead of hip, hip, hooray shouts, I think a lot of times we hear the groan, oh, look at all these emails, rather than, awesome, 50 people want to book my property. So, it's a very different world. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that, in the past, the meeting planner was the actual person involved with the company, association, or the Smurf group that was part of that group that was planning that event. And they would use these old-fashioned things. Maybe you're old enough to remember phone books and directories like the Hotel Travel Index. And they would call 2, 3, 4 different properties and place their inquiry. Now, first of all, we have third-party planners doing the planning, and sometimes the organizations hire more than one third-party planner. So you might even have multiple planners inquiring about the same piece of business. And then on top of that, rather than picking up the phone, they go to websites. They either go to the Contact Us pages at different hotels after a Google search, or they go to aggregate sites like a Cvent, StarSite, and others. And at one click of a button, now the lead goes out instead of 3 hotels by phone to 10 hotels, 13 hotels, or even more. So we have a lot of pieces to the puzzle now where that inquiry is reaching more people. And as a result, the hotel salespeople are really overwhelmed with leads. So I think that's what's changed, on both sides there. The buyer now is no longer the actual buyer, it's a representative. And they're also overwhelmed with choices because, having talked or received proposals from so many properties. So I think that's the fundamental difference then in today's world, and, it's a lot that needs to be addressed in that area.
So what changes do you think hotels need to make on their side in terms of staffing or organization charts to deal with this onslaught of emails?
Well, traditionally we had the sales admin person that would answer the phone, and he or she would take the leads and then farm them out to the salesperson and manage that market segment. In today's world, due to cutbacks largely over, the Great Recession era, also just to retooling, a lot of times the leads are going straight to the salesperson. So now you have a high talent, high better paid salesperson directly fielding the leads. And a lot of the leads come from the desperate meeting planner. The boxes really fill up when your city has pressure. So when you're coming into peak season for conferences and events, when meeting space is tight, or when it's getting near wedding season, if you're a social, if you represent catering sales in the social segments, all of a sudden people get desperate, and now instead of contacting 10 properties, they might contact literally 30 properties. So, now we have our high-powered salesperson that has to sort through leads that, for dates that are sold out or for pieces of business that don't really fit. So, and then, of course, they're asked to evaluate it in terms of a revenue management perspective if it's a valuable piece of business. So I really think that we need to, in the larger companies, the larger hotels, certainly need to rethink that position and have someone that is somewhere between the admin and an entry-level salesperson that kind of sorts, prioritizes the leads, and, responds back to those that either you're sold out or that are not good fits from a rate perspective. What happens today as a result of lead fatigue is we have salespeople that simply just don't respond. Mm-hmm. So, the person might even send in their RFP and say that the dates are not flexible. However, when everyone in the city is sold out, they become flexible. And if you respond back, indicate your regrets politely, express interest in alternate dates, then, when it comes down to switching dates, you're going to be at the top of their list. So that's one major change I think that they should make in terms of, staffing and reorganizing to have someone sort and prioritize the leads. And, of course, at the smaller properties, the salesperson simply needs help, maybe from a GM or even some operations people to help deal with the sheer volume of leads.
Now, you wrote about striving for excellence at each step of the sales process and pointed out that one critical element for doing that was for sales staff to get better at reading leads. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So keep in mind, as we've said, everyone is getting the same inquiry. A lot of hotels in the comp set or the geographic area. So they're all getting the same inquiry. What's happening all too often now, either that some people aren't responding, but those who do respond tend to use a templated response. So maybe that's something saved in their Outlook email or something they're copying and pasting in. So in essence, the inquiries all come back looking pretty much generic and all the same. Thank you for choosing our hotel. For your review, here's some information. We would love to host your event, etc. What we want to do is stand out. To show that we're excellent, we want to have a great first impression with our first response. And now that's easier to do sometimes than others. It's really easy to do when the sender has put a lot of remarks or comments in the inquiry. So if it's a website direct, a lot of times they might have put several lines of copy. If it's coming through a portal such as maybe a brand meeting broker portal or a local convention and visitors bureau, a lot of times many senders do put out in this RFP or this lead alert a lot of details. So if we read through those details and then open our response by paraphrasing and restating something we've learned. So thank you for your inquiry. It's wonderful you're considering our city for the first time or coming back to our city. It's understood that the attendees will be bringing spouses or will have free time or you're looking for, a good area. Anything that you've learned or, if it's a big enough lead and it warrants, jump over to Google, do a quick search, check out the company, comment on what they're doing. And that is a great way to show them that you get it, you understand the purpose. It shows excellence from the beginning and creates, I think, a great first impression, and a little personalization will go a long way.
I love that. And last question. I was just in Florida at the HSMAI Leadership Conference, and there, Jay Litt said that with occupancy flattening out, sales teams need to learn to sell again. I'm sure you agree with that sentiment, but could you expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely. When times are good, it's easy to sit back and to handle the leads that are coming in. And really that's the best time to build a key quality of sales, which I call resiliency. However, right now, we've got through an era that has caused what I call profitable mediocrity. When times are great, it's easy to fall off of our standards. So I think that's what Mr. Litt is referring to here. We have to learn how to sell again. We have to be passionate about response times, personalization, finding a way to stand out. If that lead comes in through an alert from a third party, let's reply there, but let's also give them a call or reply outside of the tool or platform to say, hey, wanted to make sure you got this. Follow up a few days later, see what questions they have. People want to give the business to somebody that wants their business. So that shows that we're organized, we're hungry. We're going to take care of the business once they commit to it. So I guess that's the first part of it, is dealing with what's coming in. And then on the other hand, we need to carve out time for prospecting. Prospecting, leadership in sales all too often doesn't bring it up until the numbers start to decline, which is, the softening right now, particularly in groups, that's happening. So leaders are saying, hey, what happened to prospecting? Really, we should have been talking about that in the upmarket and carving out and scheduling in and making it a must-do part of prospecting. But, now's not too late. The market's not that soft yet. Let's go through past leads. Let's go through lost business. Let's Google search names. If you just go to Google, put in your city and the word conference and maybe 2016, 2015, see what's coming up. Drill down a little bit. You find who's involved, the association names. A lot of times you can find the planners. So, a lot can be done right from your desk these days. It's a great time to focus on sales.
Excellent. Doug, thank you so much for your insights and for being so gracious with your time. Can you tell us, our listeners, how they can get in touch with you if they want to chat a little bit more?
Absolutely. I would love to talk with anyone about their sales goals, their needs, or our training programs. We also do sales process audits where I'll go in and actually assess the sales team and look at how they're handling leads. They can find me at KennedyTrainingNetwork.com, or they can reach me via email, Douglas@KennedyTrainingNetwork.com. So thank you, Jeremiah. I hope the listeners enjoy our podcast.
I'm sure they will. You've given us a lot of ideas on how we can increase our group sales business. Thank you so much for your time, Doug.